Thank you very much for being here this afternoon, and I now have the pleasure to introduce Governor Raimondo, who is without a doubt brave, fierce, determined, smart, and I know for a fact committed to eliminating racism, injustice, and bringing people together so everyone's voice can be heard. So I thank you and welcome Governor Raimondo.
I don't know, can you see me? This is so high, these microphones. I know, and all this. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you for coming. And thank you, Momazetta, for that kind introduction and for all the work that you do in my administration and for your lifelong commitment to racial justice. I'm very happy to be here. It's wonderful for me to look around the crowd and see so many friends and people who've been fighting their whole lives for racial justice. So thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you to the Treasurer for being here, Chairwoman Williams for being here, Senator Metz, Chairman Miller, Rep. McKiernan, Rep. Hull I saw back there, Senator Quesada, thank you for being here, Senator Cano, Rep. Kislak, Rep. Ranglin-Vassell, I think we saw Senator Golden, I saw Whit Blazajewski who's here. I want to thank you all for being here, members of my administration who are, I think, and is Nerva here? I know. Yeah, there you go. She represents this district. Thank you all to being here, and I want to thank members of my team. Colonel Manny is here, thank you, and I want to thank Reverend Howard Jenkins for joining us. And we have a special young woman with us today, Faith Kanea. Faith she's going to be a senior at Central High School. She's 16 years old. I called her recently because she was one of the organizers and leaders of the big march and protest with 10,000 folks at the State House. Yeah, give her a hand. I called her to thank her for her leadership and to tell her that I think she's a naturally born leader with a lot of gifts and talents, and I encouraged her to go far in this life. And I said to her, a girl 17, 18 years old who did what you did, and she interrupted me and said, Miss, I'm 16. So God bless you. 16. Mayor Lorza, I didn't recognize you, the great Mayor Lorza. So Faith and all the young people who are here, we're counting on you guys. We're trying. We make a lot of mistakes, and I'm putting my faith in the young people to keep us honest and to keep going. And that's part of the reason we wanted to be here at a park. So I want to thank you, all of you, for joining us here at the Billy Taylor Park. I will tell you, I've logged hundreds of hours right there on that jungle gym with my kids. For whatever reason, this was always their favorite place to come. And it's also a recognition for Billy Taylor, who was a local leader right in this neighborhood, helping families one kid at a time. Helping kids, one kid at a time, kids who didn't know life outside of this neighborhood. And he helped to get them a job, get to go to a summer camp, took them on trips, encouraged them to pursue their education, helped them get a job. And so we thought it was fitting to come here to focus on our youth and to focus on the fact that every person deserves a chance. Every single person deserves a chance, regardless of the neighborhood they're from or the color of their skin. So, as I've said so many times, my experience of racism is an observed experience. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like to walk in the shoes of a black woman, or certainly a black man, a black person, and I don't know what it's like to myself be the victim of discrimination and racism. But I do know it's wrong. And I do know I've worked hard as your governor for 6 years to do what I can to eliminate racism and discrimination in our state. And I do know we have a lot more to do. And anybody who watches the video of George Floyd, which is so hard to watch, anyone who watches that video who sees and is confronted by the abuse and discrimination that people of color in our country face every day knows there's more to do, and we have to act with urgency. And today, I'm going to take a page out of Secretary Jones's book and agree with her that we need to lead by example. So today I am once again pledging my support to remove Providence plantations from our state's name. Now, there's a lot of people out there, because I've heard from them, who say to me, they will point out to me, Governor, this is our official name, it's a part of our history, and the word plantations in the Rhode Island and Providence plantations doesn't explicitly refer to slavery and the slavery that happened on plantations. It was, as you all know, in reference to the mainland colony founded by Roger Williams, as distinct from Newport and Aquidneck Island. And they say, what do you say about that? I say, you're right, that's true. But here's what I also say. We can't ignore the image conjured by the word plantations. We can't ignore how painful that is for Black Rhode Islanders to see that and have to see that as part of their state's name. It's demoralizing. It's demoralizing. It's a slap in the face. It's painful. It's a pain. It's a painful thing. So yes, you know, we have to acknowledge our history. It's true. But we can acknowledge our history without elevating a phrase that's so deeply associated with the ugliest time in our state and in our country's history. That is a word that is associated with the ugliest institution that our country has ever had. So that's why I think it's time, it's past time, actually, to get rid of it. And I have said, people say to me, well, because I've been, you know, pledging my support now for weeks, and people say, but Governor, you know, I'm proud of our name. And I say, well, you can be proud of Rhode Island, but don't be proud of that. Don't be proud of a word that represents the worst of what our nation had to offer. Be proud of what the best in Rhode Island. And as we've said, we need to rise together. Be proud of the fact that our state was founded by someone who believed in inclusion. And that word inclusion means everybody. And it means we have to do more. And I want to recognize Senator Metz, who's here. The Senate has already passed legislation to put the name change on the ballot. And I want to, so thank you, and thank you to the Senate. And I want to recognize Rep. Williams, who's advocating for the same in the House. And we hope you get that done. And I hope it gets on the ballot. And I'm going to work hard with you this summer to convince the people of Rhode Island in November to vote for the name change. The last time it was on the ballot, it went down. So let's get it on the ballot, and let's call on the good people of Rhode Island to put an end to this in November and make a statement for the world to see. No more in Rhode Island. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to do what Secretary Jones said and lead by example. So I'm taking steps to remove the phrase plantations from my administration's communications. So this morning, I signed an executive order removing the phrase Providence plantations from gubernatorial orders and citations, all executive branch agency websites, all official correspondence, and state employee pay stubs and paychecks. That's what I can do via executive order. So I'm going to do that without waiting, and then let's get this on the ballot and let's get this done in November, because words do matter. Words matter, words hurt, words sting, symbols matter, and as I said, it's past time to do this. I want to acknowledge Mayor Alorza. He did a similar thing last week with the official City of Providence documents. And I want to acknowledge Treasurer Magaziner, who's committed to removing the word plantations from the state checks. As the treasurer, he's the man with the money and the paycheck. The checks. And I'll tell you something. As I said, because my experience of racism is observed and not lived, I spend a lot of time listening to people. I have done that since I've been governor, but especially in these past few weeks, I've really doubled down on my commitment to listening, really listening. And I've talked to a lot of Black Rhode Islanders of all ages. Let me tell you what they say to me. They say, you know, Governor, I did good work and I received citations from the state of my good work, recognizing what I did. But the citation says Providence Plantations. And I don't want to put that on my wall because I don't want to have to see that. So when I got my citation for my good work, I hide it in the drawer because I'm not putting something on my wall that has the word plantation. That hurts when I hear people say that. Or people who say, as Wilma Zetta just said, it stings a little bit every time she gets her paycheck. Now she needs the paycheck, we all do, so she puts it in the bank. But why does she have to see that horrible, ugly word that conjures up images of slavery every time she gets her check? So to those Rhode Islanders who are wondering why we're doing this and thinking it denies our history, that's why. That's why. Because we have members of our community who shouldn't have to feel that sense of hurt and pain and grief every time they get a paycheck or see the name of their state or get a citation from a governor or legislator. You shouldn't have to get that stinging message. So that's why, because you're part of our community too. Now, same thing, same idea, same thing. So I also, bear with me for a few more minutes because I'm announcing a few other things. Several other additional steps that I'm taking, that we're taking as part of the Rise Together vision for rooting out racism and bias in our institutions here in the state of Rhode Island. Additionally, to what I just said, the executive order, getting rid of the word plantations, I've directed the state's Department of Administration to issue mandatory implicit bias training for all state employees and to build a plan for more comprehensive equity training. Let's be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we don't even recognize our bias. We're blind to it. We have a blind, we're not aware. So everyone's going to get this training so we're a little bit more aware in executive office employees. Secondly, the Colonel of the State Police is here, Jim Manny. I've asked the Colonel to form a community outreach team that will engage community leaders about how the state police can better serve communities. And I want to thank you, Jim, for your leadership. I've also tasked Colonel Manny with developing a plan and exploring grants and other funding resources to equip the Rhode Island State Police troopers with body cameras, building on our existing efforts to increase accountability within the department. Now, I know you're going to say that's not enough, and I'm going to agree with you, but it's a step, and both of those are important steps to move in the right direction. And I want to single out Rep. Williams on this, it's time to reform our law enforcement officers' Bill of Rights. And you have my full support, Anastasia, on that. To ensure that officers have a greater level of accountability to the citizens that they serve. Transparency and accountability. And here's another important thing. You know, I don't in any way want to minimize police brutality on the basis of race. I don't. But it isn't just that. It's about jobs and housing and education and economic equality. And so when I became governor, one of the things that I looked at was how little business the state did with minority-owned businesses. Vendors, still do. But let me tell you what we've done. Since I've been governor, we focused on increasing the number of businesses that the state, minority-owned businesses that the state does business with. I'm proud to say that we've seen a 60% increase in the number of registered MBE businesses and a more than tripling of the work that the state awards to minority-owned businesses. But still, we need to do more. I'll be the first to agree with you, Joe, we need to do more. I'm proud of the doubling, I'm proud of the tripling, but let's do more. So I'm announcing that we are also going to conduct a comprehensive study called the disparity study of all state contracting practices to ensure that minority-owned businesses have an equal shot at procurement opportunities. This is the first of its kind study in the state of Rhode Island in nearly 30 years. And it is an important step to doing more to make sure that there is no discrimination on the basis of gender or race in the way the state does business, and to look for ways to give opportunity to minority-owned businesses. And I'll be the first to say there's a long way to go. In addition to what I said, it's also healthcare. We have to address racial disparities in our healthcare system, which has taken on a whole new urgency during COVID. We need to provide job training and educational opportunities to people of color. Some of you here helped me get past a few years ago the Promise program, 2 years of community college, tuition free. In the couple of years we've had that, we have seen an increase in the on-time graduation rate among students of color of 500%. Wow. 500%. These are kids who are smart, who want a chance. Maybe they don't have a lot of money. And as I've always said, the hardest part of college shouldn't be paying for it. They don't want a handout. They want a chance to get a diploma and a decent job. And I want your continued support for that program. It's set to expire this year, and we got to re-up it so kids can continue to get a chance. It is violence in the police department, but it is housing, education, infrastructure, healthcare, jobs, opportunity. It's equity across everything that we do. That's what we're here to pledge. Action against an agenda of equity. Here's the last thing I'll say. None of this is going to happen overnight. And I'll be the first to say there's been more we could have done and more we need to do still. But I do know this. Now, with what we're living through as a nation, as a state and as a nation, it's a moment. It's a moment we have to take advantage of to drive action. It's a moment that people's eyes are open again to the reality of racism, how real and present and hurtful that it is. And it's on all of us, every one of you here, and myself included, to recommit ourselves today to doing the work that is necessary to build a more equitable and fair Rhode Island. And so that's what I'm here today to tell you what I'm doing via executive order, but also what I hope that we will do together as a community.